Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Elle Daily Podcast. We are in season 2 already, and it is all off limits. We're talking about things that maybe shouldn't be spoken about, but we're going to do it. I'm having fun with it. I hope you are too. Ellen Roers here, your host, your heartbreak correspondent, and your favorite voice of reason when life gets messy. This is the podcast where we lean into the sacred and the silly, the truths we whisper maybe to our closest friends, and things that we're not supposed to talk about. Around here, we keep it honest and just a little off limits. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in, that's great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with the friend who needs to hear it most. The more hearts we reach, the more truth we speak. So if you caught my past episode 19, I want to say, you know this story. So you're going to hear it quickly again. I won't go into the full story like I did on 19. But for those that are just tuning in, the last time I recorded, I was deeply in love, working a job I adored, and prepping to sell my home for a new life chapter. And here we are now, gloriously single, professionally on a pause, and riding that wave of radical sabbaticalness. I just made that word up, but the radical sabbatical, it works, right? I've used it before, but never have I been quite in this place. And I do believe everything happens for a reason. A great reset is good for all of us. This is a little bit more than I had planned, but I am good spirits and able to kind of laugh at it at this point. It's my life, so maybe I shouldn't be laughing at it, but what else can you do, right? And I'll let you decide. Am I thriving or am I just narrating the chaos? I'm not sure. But I will say there is this strange kind of freedom in losing everything that you thought you wanted. So I really thought I was going to marry this man. I was super excited for the house that I had made an offer on another house. Um, things really shifted and changed. And it's interesting. Again, there's a freedom in loss. And it's when the real questions start to surface. So I will say that this has been a great time for me to reflect. And the one thing that has been consistent, you've heard me talk a little bit about it. This year, I wanted to challenge myself to read the Bible in a year. I've never been, I grew up religious, Catholic, but I've never really fully read the Bible. And to be honest, I'm not fully going to mass or church at this time. I'm more about, my spiritual faith and relationship. I do have a relationship with Jesus. So whatever you believe is great too. I'm not going to ever push religion on someone. But the reason I'm reading the Bible is one, to challenge myself and to pick up something new and learn. And I will say it's been hard for me because a lot of the stories I feel are pretty sad. And the empathetic side of me, it feels a lot of pain when I read these stories because history is tough, right? And all of these stories are in a time that things were not like they are today. I think it's just part of history, but I digress. Let me get to the point here. I wanted to bring up Ecclesiastes. This has been one of my favorite books so far. And I think I like it because it's moody, it's wise, it's a very poetic book. And today's reading was about vanity. And the narrator basically says, and I think we, he's a preacher, we think, or I think it's one of the kings from what I'm picking up. But he says, all is vanity. And he's not saying the vanity like the vanity you're cute. Vanity as in meaningless, fleeting, temporary. So all is vanity. It is meaningless, fleeting, temporary. And gosh, that can sound kind of sad, right? But honestly, it's like, man, that's what I felt like right now, at least what I experienced. Everything felt like, well, what was that relationship for? And why did I have that job for, 10 to 12 months and then lose it? And this house, I lost a lot of money in this situation. So all of it felt really like a gut punch. And the author here has lived a large, large life with work, wealth, pleasure, lots of women in the story you read about, the influence that he's had. And yet there's still this emptiness a little bit that he's discussing or experiencing, still wondering, like, what is this all for? So where that line took me, it hit me. And there was a line that he said, what does it gain to toil all day? Something like that. What does it gain to toil all day and have no one to share it with? And I really started to think a lot about that. And it's, very purposeful, right? So it didn't have me thinking just about the emptiness that can follow success, but also the void that can follow a breakup or a layoff or being ghosted by your own life plan. So that's kind of how I felt. I was just ghosted by everything, the breakup, the layoff felt very odd. And I have a feeling the reason I want to share this and be so authentic with you is because I have a feeling many of you out there have experienced it too. And if you haven't personally, somebody in your life has. So I think it's good that you can be relatable and have that empathy for them. So maybe you've been there with the job that looks great from the outside but kills your spirit, or maybe the partner that you poured your full self into, yourself fully, and only to be left drained. I don't need to name any names here, but I want to be real. We've all experienced a narcissist or two, whether it's in a boss form, a friendship, a romantic partner. We've experienced it where we've overfunctioned, we've overgiven, overextended, hoping that someone or something would finally fill that void. And I'll tell you, that's when it really hit me. The one night here I was like thinking this could be the man I'm going to marry. He showed up perfect for the first, like, I don't know, first month or so easily. And just, I thought, wow, I'm so lucky. It feels like a fairy tale. And then there were these little bits that started to eat away at me. And I just held them close, but I was like, oh, maybe it's just because you haven't been in a relationship for so long and you're so independent. But there were definitely some big red flags and signs. And now looking back, I'm just like, oh, Ellen, like I said, I don't want to bash anybody on this channel. It's not what this is about. But I guess where I'm going with this is how quickly my world changed and crashed. And it's almost like you just follow that intuition, it's like your intuition will tell you all that you need to know. So listen to it. And I guess that's my words of advice, whether you're a man in a relationship with a woman that's not showing up for you or has that selfish side. I mean, it's okay. All of us have a little selfish side. I don't mean to say, but where I'm really going with this is it's just kind of eating away at you. Um, it's a challenge and I want to be here for you. Same for you women out there that are experiencing just what I just did. So we've all experienced it. And so here we are, unfilled maybe, but just really hoping and available for something real. So many of us have been there. So why I circle back to Ecclesiastes, I feel like the book nails it. The exhaustion, the striving, the fear, like, what is all this hustle for? Nothing, right? Sometimes it feels that way. But then there's a shift with him. He says, maybe the best we can do is eat, drink, and enjoy the gifts we've been given. And I was like, yeah, that resonates big time. Because there was a bit on the last podcast where I talked about this guilt I've been having in my free space. I feel like I should be working on finding the job or my podcast, doing something productive. And so when I want to go do something fun, my sister and I went to Vegas. Oh, that's another topic. I got some interesting stuff there. It was so cute because she really was like, I just love my husband. Because you see some things out there. There's a lot of good people in Vegas, and there were a lot of things that I was like, yeah, that would not be a man I'd want to be married to. So I'll probably do a little podcast on that too. But where I'm going with this is having fun. She said, I know you don't have a job right now. It works out with work. And, with me, I travel. Most of you know that I have my Delta status and some Marriott status, so I can use points a lot. But I still felt like, should I really be spending money and having fun when I don't have a job? There was that guilt. We've all been there. So where I'm going back to Ecclesiastes is, yes, that shift. Maybe the best we can do is eat, drink, and enjoy the gifts we've been given. Absolutely. That landed, that resonated with me. And that's where I am. And I hope you're there too. I don't want to chase anymore. I want to live. I want to feel. I want to be. And maybe that's enough. Like just being in the middle sometimes. Like I always say, you want to start with the end in mind, especially in sales. It's big. If you're a salesperson, like help your client see, well, what is the end goal for you? Right. And we all need to think about that. Like, what does it look like on our deathbed? Are we happy with the life that we had? Are we happy with the people that we impacted? I think it's awesome to be able to look at the end, but maybe we need to enjoy that middle along the way. So, I look at it and I think we're sold on that idea that if you work hard enough, you love hard enough, you stay pretty, you stay productive, you'll arrive. But no one talks about how that arrival is often just another plateau. Like you get the job, but then you might be lonely. You might be working too hard. You don't see your family enough. You don't see your kids. Maybe you get the guy, so you finally have your guy or girl, but then you kind of lose yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't have that freedom. You're starting to have to compromise. That was the biggest thing I noticed. I was like, oh boy, I've been so independent all these years. It's interesting when you have to start to compromise a bit. And there's joy in that too. Absolutely. There's joy in that. But yeah, so you get the house and suddenly you might be terrified of losing it. Or there's people I know buy these big homes and then they are house poor. Maybe they can't travel. They can't do all the things they used to do. And so there's maybe not a mountaintop moment. Maybe it's just, we're walking that path and that's what's important. Let's not wait till the end. Let's enjoy the journey. And the other aspect that I think about it, there's something cool too, in that we are always striving. I think is it Alan Watts? One of my favorites. I got to look up the name. But what I love about what he says is you're never really getting it done. It's kind of like our hopes and dreams are always there. And so I think for this reset for me, just meant he wasn't the right guy. That job wasn't the right fit. That house wasn't good for me. I'm already enjoying my new space. And I know that there's a better man and a better job for me. So for you too, it's like, enjoy that journey. Maybe once you get to one mountaintop and it feels like you're plateauing, stay there for a bit and be okay with it. And then just know that we're constantly trying to kind of evolve, I guess, but stop to have fun along the way. That's my idea. And I'm not saying you just need to go book this Tuscany retreat and start fermenting grapes and I don't know, doing all that. But I say pour a good glass of wine or some sparkling water, maybe a beer, whatever you enjoy. Light the candle that you're saving because you maybe feel it's too good. Or even for me, I'll have clothes that I don't wear because I'm like, oh, they're too nice. Put on your best outfit. Maybe put on your favorite cologne or perfume. Put on the playlist that makes you want to sway in your kitchen. That is the life. That's the life right there. And I've been enjoying that. Even though I don't have a job coming in, I went and bought, a beautiful perfume that I'm excited for my next job, kind of envisioning that next step, but enjoying the process in the moment right now. Without a guilt trip. That's the most important part, to have that joy in the moment and having no shame or guilt for it. And that I did bring up, didn't I, a little bit on 19. So I think these two episodes kind of go hand in hand because it's so much on my mind right now. And I know a lot of us are shifting too. So let me know what you're going through. Are you able to stop and enjoy the moment, stop and smell the roses and look at the success that you've had, but also kind of fill the void, because there is this void. And I think the void is sacred too. It really is. So let's go to the off limits reflection. I'm going to start doing that, a little bit more of a reflection. You can journal about it. You don't have to journal if you're not a journaler. You can just think about it. So here's your question. What if the waiting room of your life, did that make sense? What if the waiting room of your life, the limbo, so that's where I'm right now, the not knowing, the void, the awkward in between is sacred? I feel that for me, like this reset is so crucial. And I will even say the other day, I was telling my sister, I'm like, right now I'm in this weird moment. I feel like I'm getting to that next level. But it's an intense time because I've even found myself, I'm just annoyed with people, and I'm not annoyed with you. I don't mean it like that, but things that normally wouldn't kind of set me off have, and I think it is just this transition. But this limbo, this not knowing, it is a sacred time, and it isn't a punishment. It's not a pause, but it's the place where truth begins to rise to the surface. That's what I found for me. It's like showing me what is the purpose. It's that version of what's mindful or meaningful, maybe we should say, meaningful versus meaningless. That can be a whole nother segment in itself. But if this is where you are, I see you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be. And I tell that to myself a lot. I'm like, you know what, Ellen, it's okay. You're maybe feeling behind, but you're not. I feel like I took 8 steps back. Here, losing money on a house is never a good feeling. And the last few houses I sold, I made a nice profit. This one, I wrote a check. Horrible. Lost some money, earnest money on the other house. Just furniture that I would have I spent a lot more than I got for it. Let's say that. Some of it just gave things away. Regardless, it's just stuff. And I know that I'm not behind. I'm not broken. And same to you. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're exactly where you need to be. So just remind yourself that. And I may know what comes next, or should say, maybe I don't know what comes next because I don't, but I trust in that kind of in between. And I know that this time has a purpose for us. And I trust God, I trust grace. And then, you know, when I forget, like, what is the purpose? I come back to Ecclesiastes now. I'm like, all is vanity except for maybe right now. So enjoy the moment that you're in. So let's wrap it up here. And I'll just say, I'm going to leave you with this. What are you still chasing that isn't feeding your soul? Are you chasing a job? Are you chasing a relationship that you think is like some sort of status or, makes you feel whole to be with this person, but it's not feeding your soul? What is it? And where have you been measuring your worth by something meaningless? I know I've done that many times. So is there something you're measuring your worth that is totally meaningless? And I did bring that up a little bit before. It's like meaningful versus meaningless. So if you are working this job 60, 70 hours a week and it's meaningful you to bring home that check, but you're missing out on your kids or your wife or your husband and your friends, it could be meaningless. So look at that. What is it that's most meaningful to you versus meaningless? And then what would it look like to just let that go? And what would it look like just to be? So if I had to sum it up, I'd leave you with this. If it costs your peace, it's too expensive. I will say my relationship was absolutely causing a loss of peace. It was really weird how it was starting to feel controlling. Even the job, as much as I liked a lot about it, I didn't feel like I had enough purpose with it. So maybe that's the reason I was laid off. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. So I have been in this void, like I said. Maybe it's felt empty to me, but there's so many answers that are popping up in my mind. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are there too. Think about that. Is there some silence or a void that you have? What's coming out of it? And then the middle isn't the end. I think sometimes, we strive for the end, but the middle could be exactly where the real magic is. I feel like we got to enjoy that middle time. So any of you that are listening right now, you are not lost. I just want to reassure you. And I have to tell this to myself, Ellen, you're not lost. My wonderful friends out there listening, you are not lost. You are being redirected. Breathe into that. Let this be your reminder. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to rest. And you are allowed to rebuild. You're allowed to rebuild beautifully. So thank you for spending time with me today. I know this was a little bit more of a vulnerable, authentic podcast. We didn't talk a lot about the masculine, feminine energies today, but I think we all go through this. It's a part of being human. And I love that insightful aspect. Like, what is life truly about? Thinking about the end, yes, but let's enjoy the middle along the way. I'm Ellen Roers, your host, and this is Off Limits. Signing on till the next episode. Go pour yourself something lovely. I want you to take a breath and remember you are enough, even in the middle. Bye.